Hey everybody, I just wanted to make a really quick video about something that just happened. I don't know who might know it or who might not, but I am and had always been a huge Kiss fan. Okay? And beyond being a movie reviewer, which is kind of what this channel is known for, and sometimes talking about music, I really was brought up in being a musician my whole life since I was a kid. Since the third grade, let me put it that way. And being a guitar player, one of the people who was probably one of the most influential human beings on me as far as guitar playing was Ace Frehley. He was my guy. So it's really sad to report that he has just passed away. One of those things that you almost think will never happen because you've been around your whole life their music and what they've done. Being that Kiss came out in 74 and I was born in 70, it's kind of like you don't remember a time when Kiss didn't exist or that band wasn't there or that music wasn't somewhere in the background of your existence. So for me, getting my first guitar, I think in the third or fourth grade, somewhere around there, Ace Frehley was one of those guys. He was probably the guy, you know what I mean, through most of my life. And to see him gone now is just kind of a bittersweet, very sad pill to take. As much as Eddie Van Halen was to some other people, Ace Frehley was that for me. Eddie was like this weird thing, this anomaly. I appreciated and loved what he did and respected what he did. But he was like so far almost untouchable that you're like, I don't relate to that. But you would look at Ace and you could say, well, wait a minute, I can play a Kiss tune. I might be able to learn what he's doing. I can get that stuff down. So it made him approachable, and it made him like the everyman guitarist. But as much as he was that, and as much as he was like a very basic rock guitar player, there was something about him that was utterly unique. Certain things that he would do, certain ways that he would play, and you would sit there and you would say, well, that's Ace Frehley. You could put up 50 guys to play an Ace Frehley lick or an Ace Frehley solo, and I'm going to sit there and I'll tell you which one is him and which one is the 49 that aren't. He had a way. There was a sloppiness, but there was an emotion, and there was a way to his vibrato, and there was all this other kind of stuff that just made him uniquely Ace Frehley. I remember I met him one time. God, it was in the 90s. And he was at a music store, a meet and greet type of stuff like that. And I went up with my original pressing of Kiss Alive and asked for an autograph, and in his own inevitable way, he kind of joked at it and made fun of himself, and he said, look how much my autograph has changed over the years. Look how I used to write. Like that. And I just started laughing because I'm like, this fucking guy's something. You know what I mean? And I seen him on club tours. I seen him with Kiss, whatever, and, all that kind of stuff. And he was just always there. Very self-deprecating, very, whatever. Other times he would say the most grandest shit about himself. That was kind of crazy. But, he was Ace Frehley. And that band wouldn't have become what they did in those days if it wasn't for Ace Frehley. And I don't even know why the hell I'm holding the guitar, because I'm not in the mood to play it by any stretch of the imagination. But we all grew up doing the Ace Frehley thing at one point or another. We all and it was just part of what you did and what you listened to and what you grew up wanting to do, So it's very sad that he's gone. There was other guitar players that came along in my life that meant a lot. The George Lynches and the Ty Tabors, and I love Brian May. Jesus Christ. And Ace Frehley was in there, if not on the top of all that, because he was the first, And to think that's just all done and over with now. We'll always have the music. We'll always have everything like that. But it's still kind of tragic. One of the mighty four horsemen has fallen. And he's inspired so many people and so many guitar players and so many musicians in general. It's kind of nuts. You knew sooner or later one of the four would go. And I guess in a way, it's a miracle he made it as long as he did, living the life the way he lived it. You know what I mean? It's just unbelievable. I know I'm rambling. It doesn't make any sense. I just got up here and I just hit a record button and grabbed a guitar that I don't even think is totally in tune. I hadn't even played Kiss songs in so long. I hadn't played the guitar in a week, so I'm kind of rusty and shitty, but it doesn't make a difference. I just want to make this thing and get it out there, and as a tribute or a nod to somebody that really meant a lot. And when I first heard it, I was so bummed out and depressed, but then my kid called me up, and he was like, "Are you okay?" That kind of a thing, and I'm like, "Yeah." And we started talking and laughing and putting a Tom Snyder interview on afterwards and all that. And then literally, as we're talking and laughing, because I always wear hoodies and hats, that's my thing, I looked at my wife, I said, "Jesus Christ." I said, "I forgot, I'm wearing I got a fucking, I'm wearing them today. What's the odds?" You know what I mean? And, it's just sad. I'm not making much sense. I'm going to get off of here. This is not a thought out, concise video. The camera was there. I picked up whatever guitar I had laying around, some shitty practice amp. I just thought, whatever. But I'm not really in the mood to do anything. You know, it's just, it is what it is, I guess. Anyway, folks, be good, take care, stay out of trouble. Be kind to a stranger and there for a friend. Never take any bullshit from anybody. And if you get a shot, get out there and throw an old Kiss record on if you're around my age, you know, and relive some memories and some thoughts and, you know, whatever. See you later, Ace. Thanks for the inspiration. Thanks for the music. And thanks for the memories. See y'all soon, people.